Hey everyone, my name is Matt, and today we're going to show you how to make this adapter. So what you're going to want to do is make sure you have all of your components, all of your housings. This will be your input housing, this will be your output housing. You have your gasket, your gears, your shafts, and in this case, a 203 tip. Now, what is very important is you make sure the gears are in the correct sequence. The correct sequence of your gears is absolutely important because if you do not get these in the right configuration, what will happen is they will either bind and not turn at all, or they will actually produce the incorrect ratio. In regards to this ratio, it will be a 1.2352. And the gears you will need will be a 15, a 17, a 14, and a 10. Along with this, you will need a 203 diameter output shaft and a standard size pin receiving tip. Now that we have all of our components, let's put these all together. Now that we have our shafts mounted onto our gears, what I like to do is dry fit these just to make sure they rotate without any kind of binding, just to make sure the gears and the ones I selected are in the right ratio and in the right configuration. Slide the output gear into the output casing. Take the correct end of the central gear and place it inside. Twist the gears here by hand. What you want to do is make sure there's no kind of restriction or anything kind of binding on it. That way you know everything is meshing and going as it should. Next, place the drive shaft inside the drive casing. Now take your two halves, put them together. And you shouldn't have to do too much wiggling. Sometimes you will, just to line the gears up. But otherwise, it should line up nice and smooth and should have no kind of binding or resistance. Now, what I like to do for the drive end, what I'll do is drop in the adapter key and give it a little twist by hand while keeping the casing closed, just to make sure everything is moving smoothly. And we can tell that it is. So now we can take this apart and get everything greased. Now what we're using here is a high temperature gear grease, just so we can make sure the teeth all stay in great shape and last for many years to come. Just make sure you get every little nook and cranny of the teeth. I also like to make sure I get a nice generous coating on the ends of the shaft for the central gear. Now for this, you can drop this in on the drive side or the driven side. It doesn't matter as long as the correct gear is in the right spot. That fits really nice. And now for our last gear, make sure you get all of the shaft too, because that's going to be turning metal on metal, and you don't want that to degrade over time. Slide that right in, and our gears are greased and is ready for assembly. Now with all the housings completed and all the gears greased and put in the right spot, what we'll need to do is put on our paper gasket. This is going to be a straight through, so what we need to do is make sure we line it up that way. And there we go, and now all we have to do is screw it together. Now our adapter is complete, but we still need to stamp the ratio in there so the customer knows what he's actually receiving, and if anyone else needs to service a vehicle in the future, they know exactly what they're using. So one thing before stamping is I like to make sure everything is working smooth and as it should. So I will turn it by hand just to feel it and make sure nothing is binding or anything like that, and everything is working very smooth. Now we will get this stamped. And that's how you build one of these adapters. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them in the comment section below. Please like and subscribe, and we'll come to you next week with another video. Thanks for watching. Works.